They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be.
And I want to speak directly to our children as well. And please hear me loud and clear. Do not listen to what Donald Trump called you yesterday. When the president from the Oval Office calls you natural born killers, children who are born to be violent, I say this: I respect the office, but I will never honor ignorance. To our children, you are loved and you're needed. To our children, we believe in you and we invest in you. To our children, we love you and we are going to honor every God-honored potential that you have. To our children, there's nothing we won't do to keep you safe. To our children, we love you and we are going to make sure that you are never bullied. And I don't care what position they hold. Because I want to be clear, if I listened, when I was coming up, if I listened to the tropes and to the trolls, if I listened to the haters and the heartless, if I listened to the Archie Bunker mindset and the dog whistling, if I spent my time focusing on those people who did not love me instead of focusing on those people who do, I would never be the 63rd governor of the state of Maryland and the only black governor in the United States of America. Here in Maryland, we believe in you. We're going to support you. We're going to make sure you're safe. And we're going to make sure that every God-honored opportunity is within your grasp.
Welcome back to another episode of Let Me Reach. Today, I kind of want to play Uno. You know, reverse, 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 reverse. It's time to talk about the other side since they always talk shit about us. And again, this does not go to all white people. I love all people, but I've said this on multiple episodes. This is not a race card. This is about good versus evil. And I've kind of hinted at this on another episode before. It's going to take the good whites to flush out the bad whites. And before you get all emotional about this topic, we also understand that there is good and bad in every single race. So white people, I'm sorry, but you're not excluded from that. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but we have to talk about the perspectives and the things that we see. Otherwise, they'll just continue to happen. And I also understand that I'm fighting a huge algorithm beast that I cannot beat. But at the same time, I don't care for views and shit like that. I say shit because shit needs to be said. Now, if you don't agree, tell me why you don't agree. But don't you dare listen to this whole episode and act like this shit doesn't make sense. That's what you're not going to do. Now, we'll talk about this right after this intro. Okay, so I got to get this out the way because some people lack critical thinking skills and they're going to tell me, oh, they never said black in that video. You're just rage baiting. You're race baiting, blah, 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 blah. Which that's why he always says his supporters aren't smart. Smart people don't like him. Watch this.
Smart people don't like me, you know, and they don't like what we talk about, but...
You heard that from the horse's mouth. Now, using context clues, if smart people don't like him, who likes him? Yeah, hopefully you can kind of use some context clues as to what this actually means. Don't think I need to spell it out for you. But essentially, he's saying that his supporters are dumb, gullible, can't think for themselves, can't form opinions. So in essence, when he says stuff, smart people is like, the f***? And then his supporters are like, yeah, probably with no teeth. I'm not here to talk shit on the Trump supporters. I think that they have enough going for themselves that, well, they can't even comprehend my shit talking. So, this is about Uno reverse. They want to talk about us being criminals and us being gangsters and all these sorts of things. You know, all black people are the same. Whatever. Obviously, we're not. But let's talk about the real criminals of the world. Not just America, the world. Now, Yedix, what group killed the most people throughout human history?
If we're talking talking strictly in terms of recorded numbers of deaths caused by human actions after race was a recognized category, then Europeans, white populations, caused the most, largely due to colonialism and imperialism.
Okay, just for, thoroughness, what is colonialism and imperialism?
Colonialism is when one country takes control of another territory and exploits it, usually for the land, labor, and resources. Started heavily with European powers in the 15th century. Spain and Portugal were first, followed by Britain, France, the Netherlands, and Belgium. Colonizers often imposed their rules by force, slavery, land seizures, and cultural destruction.
Cultural destruction. But why were so many people killed?
Indigenous deaths in Americas. When Europeans arrived in the Americas, they brought disease, such as smallpox, measles, and influenza, that wiped out up to 90% of indigenous populations. Also, violence and massacres. Conquest forced conversations and suppression of resistance killed millions. And lastly, famine and forced labor. Colonizers demanded cash crops, taxes, and quotas. Millions starved because food wasn't prioritized for locals.
Now, what about imperialism? I know that's a bit deeper.
Imperialism is broader than colonialism. It means expanding power and influence over other nations, either through colonization or by controlling them politically, economically, without full settlement. Imperial powers aren't just about planting flags. They want global dominance.
So, why does colonialism and imperialism top this list? I'm sure there's a lot of bullshit that's taken place in history, but why this one, Yedix?
Well, for one, the global scale. No other system spread death, displacement, and exploitation across every continent. Two, long duration. This wasn't a single war. It lasted centuries. Roughly from 1450 to about 1960. And some would say it hasn't stopped. 3. Indirect deaths. Beyond direct killing, colonial policies caused famine, disease spread, and economic collapse, multiplying the toll. And 4. The numbers. If you add up indigenous deaths in Americas, slave trade, famine in Asia, and wars of resistance, the total reaches hundreds of millions over 500 years.
I think I understand. So, the point of this episode was to shed light on facts. We're not going to read this stuff in the history books because, well, the winners write the history books. And they've been winning for so long, and they're continuing to win because they still have these same set of people in positions of power. We should not have people who think that they're better than people with superiority complexes running our nation, or essentially running the world. And right now, when you look at every important meeting, the UN meeting, world whatever meeting, White House meeting, congregation meeting, this meeting, that meeting, it's always heavily dominated by white men. Now, I have nothing against white men, but I have everything against evil. And damn it, I've been saying this for a long time. This is not about race. This is about good versus evil. But I'll be damned if I just can't see color. And I think people who say they can't see color, I think that's the stupidest shit ever. Recognize my color. Recognize it. It's here. It's right in your face. Now, the reason I had this governor talking about what Trump said and disowning and dispelling what Trump said, again, that very divisive idiot, was because I found it important. And I don't think this governor is getting the credit that he deserves. Baltimore is a crime-riddled city. But if you put somebody in office who actually genuinely cares about the community, it's amazing what can change. Black people are not just athletes. We are not just entertainers. And I know that's what you want us to believe, but we're not. As a matter of fact, if I see a black pilot, I'm pretty sure he's overqualified because it probably took him harder to get in a position that he's in. And our talent doesn't stop at dribbling a ball. When I see that black pilot, I know I'm safe because I know for a fact that he's more talented than the white pilot. And if you don't get mad at the opposite side for saying what he said, then you bet not get mad at me for saying what I'm saying. That's my perspective. That's how I feel. And we were all taught at a very young age, you got to work twice as hard to get to where you want to get to. So that pilot did that. And one more thing while I'm here. Notice how I'm not just spewing bullshit just because that's how I feel. You notice how I can actually give examples and reasons as to why I feel certain things. I'm not just pulling shit out my ass just cause. So if you have a problem with my perspective, then that's a you thing. It has nothing to do with me. All I can do is be my authentic self.
We heard from Erica Kirk. She said she forgives the man who shot and killed her husband. And then right after that, we heard from the president who said, I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them. How does that square with bringing down the temperature of political violence in this country?
The president is authentically himself. I think that's why millions of Americans across the country love him and support him, including Erica Kirk, who you saw so beautifully was on stage with the president in an unthinkable moment, in the midst of an unthinkable.
This is real life. This is not an episode on South Park yet. Hopefully you kind of understood this episode, you know, the Uno, the reverse, you know, hey, you're a criminal, you're this, you're that. Well, I think you did the most damage in the world. So your finger pointing at us, it's time to do this. We also have to hold these people very accountable for the things that they say and the things that they do. If the normal American is going to get consequence because they have something or they say something, then, well, you should be held accountable for your dumbass takes as well. Okay, so to wrap this episode up, no, this was not a race episode. This was not about white or black. I just wanted to share the facts of the matter of every race has good and bad, evil versus good. Every race has that. Just doesn't stick with us. But they're going to tell you it's always us. And quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing that rhetoric. I'm tired of hearing divisive things in the news. I'm tired of just seeing bullshit that's just simply not true because it makes me feel like, what the f***? Nonetheless, like, share, subscribe. You're not going to find my videos on the For You page. So if you are interested in my content, you're going to have to subscribe. The algorithm doesn't like people like me, and I'm not interested in doing things for views. I feel better by putting truthful, honest, authentic shit out. So that's what I'm going to do. So with that being said, it's been nice, and I'll see you next episode.
All in one. Yeah.